Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Yes, good evening, fight fans. It's Mr. Neutral here at Red Corner Boxing, and for another episode of Mr. Neutral Meets. And I'm delighted to announce and to introduce to you the ex-WBO lightweight champion of the world, Mr. Jamel Herring. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. Absolute pleasure. We'll talk about why later. Now, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, this show is sponsored by EasyStorage.com for all your local storage needs nationwide and local. They handle your goods with care, and Boxing Fight Zone for your boxing apparel and merchandise. Check them all out in the links in the bio. And if this is the first time you're watching Red Corner Boxing, please give us a like and subscribe and press that notification bell. We need the support. We love you all. Thank you for that. Now, Jamel Herring, Sergeant Jamel Herring, ex-Marine, ex-amateur champion, ex-lightweight WBO champion, and now YouTuber. It's a fantastic story, but let me take you all the way back to 2001. I think it was when you first started your amateur career before you joined the Marines. Tell me the motivations you had for joining the Marines when you'd already started an amateur career.
I had a best friend that he passed away later on in life. Rest in peace, Stephen Brown. But he had joined in 2002, and he came back from boot camp, and basically, he motivated me to do something more with myself in my life. So, and I looked up to him as a big brother at the time. So I just felt that I needed to do something with my life. I enjoyed boxing, but at the time, amateur boxing, it wasn't really doing much for me in terms of something I can live off of. But I just decided let's give it a try, and I tried it, and I never looked back.
Never look back, indeed. No, the Royal Marines, excuse me, the Marine Corps in the United States. It's got a hell of a reputation for gruesome training. Basic training. You didn't go for the Army, you didn't go for the Navy, you went for the Marines, probably one of the hardest regiments in the world to even get into, let alone become sergeant in your time. 2 tours of duty. And your country must thank you every day for your service, sir. Because long before we knew you were boxing, you're serving your country in 2 tours. Obviously, you've seen people pass and all the rest of it, people Tell me how that mentality of serving 2 tours took you into your pro game.
Things like that, they take a toll. But when I look back on it, in terms of especially when I'm training or fighting, I always say that I've been through worse. So boxing is more mental than physical. And I look back at everything that I've been through as a Marine, I would say, I've been through the worst, but I got through it, so I can get through this, and that's what helps push me each and every day, in and outside the ring.
Obviously, no one likes to go to war, combat zones. It can be traumatic at the best of times. Was it a case that there's nothing the boxing ring can do to me to scare me attitude when you first come back, that you took through, going through your record? You had an impressive start. North American champion, and then you got that WBO title, vacant title shot against Ito of Japan. That was actually the first fight I ever seen you fight, because you very much still on your domestic scene. Great fight, unanimous decision. What did he win? 2 rounds. It was beautiful. Then you moved on to 2 defenses, great defenses as well. Lamont Roach and Carl Frampton. When you hit that big stage, and what did that feel like? As coming into that ring as champion.
It was a blessing. It was a blessing because with boxing, we all know boxing is a small window of opportunity. So for me to even get those opportunities and to face off against great champions and really good fighters like you mentioned Lamont and Carl Frampton, it was an honor because I remember being in Iraq and I was looking up to guys like that were on the big stages of their careers and just hoping and wishing that I would get the opportunity. So once I got it, I never took it for granted.
I mean, absolutely. And unfortunately, after that, you come up against, one of the world's finest boxers here today, Shakur Stevenson.
Yes.
You had two titles on the line in that. A unanimous decision, 94, 96, 93, 97. He, obviously, you were 36 years of age. He was 23.
It was a 10 round. He got me by 10 round stoppage to do the cuts and everything in that fight.
Yeah.
But even then, I felt bad about it, because again, we see how great Shakur is doing today.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy for him. Really well in boxing and continue to doing well with boxing. So it was an honor to share the ring with him, and even now, I still wish him the best of luck, and I tune into his success today.
Does it please you that he is doing so well and could be going up to
Absolutely.
A fourth weight? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would do.
Absolutely.
Right. You were coming towards the end of your career there. Unfortunately, another loss against Jamil Ortiz. You come back strong, 131 pound against TKO against Nicholas Molina. First round, fantastic performance. Now this one surprised me. The Jackson John England fight.
Many thought I won that fight.
Yeah.
Many thought I won that fight, but again, it's boxing. It comes with territory, and I never look back on it. I wish all those guys the best of luck. Again, I'm good friends with Jermaine Ortiz. I would love to see him more active, of course, but I'm glad he's still pursuing his dreams. But yeah, again, I don't have any regrets with my boxing career, and I'm really happy to see these guys still continue to flourish and become better than they were yesterday.
Absolutely, you remind me of Nigel Benn. He started his career off in the army. He boxed in the Marines, as you did, for your regiment. The soldier way he come up, rather like you. And I asked people the same question, that mentality of being in the field on tours, I would, suggest it gives you a stronger mentality than many people give you credit for. Now how hard was that to balance your boxing and the Marines at the same time? Were they gracious with time for you to pursue that before you went professional?
Around that time there was a boxing team. So during my second enlistment, because I did 9 years in the Marine Corps. So my second enlistment, I spent majority of that time just honing and crafting my skill as a boxer with the old Marine Corps boxing team, and that actually is what got me to becoming a 2012 Olympian. I was the only United States Marine to go to London and represent the Marine Corps at that time. So I had a great time. Then I became one of the boxing team captains at the time. So that was a huge honor. And that mainly came to me due to my background as a Marine and showing leadership. So I had a great time. I trained on that team with Errol Spence, Marcus Brown, Jojo Diaz, Jose Ramirez, Clarissa Shields, who's doing phenomenal today. And the list just goes on. So I had a blast. I had a blast. Fighting along those men and women, Marlene Esparza, Queen Underwood, and I got the witness for the first time Katie Taylor win her gold medal. I was there in the arena that night when she won her gold medal. So I mean, I had a it was a great time, and even Anthony Joshua, and he's fighting tonight. So it's always great. It's always great to see the people that you fought or seen fight along your way as an amateur and where they're at today. So it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, you fought Daddy Jacobs in your amateur days, you know.
I mean, I fought Josh Taylor a year before the Olympics, and me and Josh Taylor
Yeah,
became great friends ever since then. So
he's great, lad.
boxing has definitely been a blessing in my life, and it's definitely gave me a lot of new friends and people that I call family to this day. So I've enjoyed every step of the way because, like you mentioned, I did 2 tours of Iraq, so every day not being in a war zone environment was a blessing on its own.
Oh God, yeah, I can imagine. I could imagine, mate. Well, I couldn't, but I could. You know, see, it seems to me you're quite content with your whole career. What that you became a champion, you're recognised worldwide. Then you retire. You know, tell me about the transition into social media, YouTubing as well.
It was rough. It was rough because you're used to basically being in training camps on and off and just staying active and busy throughout the year. But it was a necessary transition, especially when you have children that look up to you, your own children and your own family. So you owe it to them to give that time back to them. You made a lot of
Yes.
sacrifices being away from home because that's how I am with training camp. I prefer to be away from home just so I can solely focus on what's in front of me. But if I'm at home, you gotta take care, make sure the kids and everybody else are good, and it just takes away a focus at time. So the transition was rough at first, but I still had a lot of good moments. Just being a dad, just being a father.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you have to. You don't need when the career's said and done. It releases time, doesn't it, for
Yes,
you to
yes.
give to dedicate to family that you couldn't previously. Camps, they just
They're grueling. They're grueling. Camps are
yeah.
grueling.
They kill family time, don't they, to an
Yeah.
extent, but it makes it all the sweeter, the return. Now, you got your show on. Is it right? You got a show on YouTube.
Yes, the 10-8 podcast alongside my
Send it.
partner Norbs. We've been doing that since the beginning of the year. It's been fun. It's been and again, I enjoy it because I still can sit down and speak on the sport that you and I both
Yeah,
enjoy and love, which is boxing. So, even between then, I've done commentary alongside with my mentor Christina Poncher, who's actually at the event tonight with Netflix and Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. So I'm still having a blast, and it's
yeah.
always it's even great that you can still continue to be involved with a sport that's giving you so many opportunities.
In fact, yeah, and big up to Christina Nobbs, fantastic commentators and content creators. But I have to ask you, the fans. What has shocked you the most about fans on social media?
I think what shocks me most with fans on social media is mainly the opinions. The opinions. Some of them could be bizarre, but some of them could be very, very interesting. And I always love and respected the fans. I even to this day, we can always agree to disagree, and at the same time, we can still have fun and be respectable. But I think, like I said today, when today's world, especially with social media going on in the world, that fighters they are basically more in the spotlight than they were maybe in the 90s and early 2000s. But it's just an adjustment. But at the end of the day, I respect everyone for their opinion. As long as they're respectable, I have no issue speaking with the fans and sharing my knowledge and opinions as well with them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you're in front of a camera, is
Yes,
to share that experience, share that knowledge, share the story, share the motivation, the grit, and what it takes to become a boxing champion.
yes,
And
sir.
if you can't listen to people like you in front of the camera, They'll never appreciate it. Now there's many a great fan out there. I've met hundreds of wonderful fans who know
Yeah.
what they're talking about. There's a
Yeah.
few in our comments section right now, uh, and they're great to talk to, and very varied opinions, but they always have a justification for the opinions. I have found on social media such strong opinions, but without explaining them. It's just, yeah, that guy's getting slept if he goes near that guy.
Yeah.
How,
They're not
you
breaking, but
know,
they're not breaking it down. They're not giving you any boxing logic.
exactly. And when good people like you come on and, give your opinion, um, you get that mixture of, negative and positive. But I
Yeah.
always laugh at how the negative ones go ultra super negative. How do you deal with that?
Some just want a reaction. You gotta look at it. Someone just want a
Yeah.
reaction out of you. So you gotta just take it with a grain of salt. Even at times I've actually turned people that may have started out negative again towards me, or with just spiteful, into fans over time. Because again, we're all human. We and we can over time grow to have love and respect for each other. So I don't take anything personal.
Ah, lovely. And that's where you should be, it's to just educate with, that's what I try to do until obviously they get out of order. Then the Scottish comes out in me and Mark. I do have to apologise to
All right.
some of them afterwards. That's the way it is. But look, I hear a whisper that you might be going into bare knuckle boxing.
Yes. Yes.
Following in the footsteps of Austin Trout and Paulie Malignaggi. Explain to me, brother. Come on. Let's see, this is another part of your grit and determination.
Yes, I just wanted to take another path in life and just try something different. I've had many great conversations with my good friend Austin Trout. He's found a newfound life and success with the BKFC. Had to give credit. So I'm very happy to see what he's done with it. He's actually taken more of the boxing aspect into the BKFC rather than just the brawling and street fighting that people may confuse with at times. But Austin Trout is actually one of the top tier fighters within the company, and I'm happy for him. He reached out to me. He had told, he motivated me to give it a try, and here we are. And January 17th, I will be fighting and making my debut with the BKFC on the Zone.
What a platform as well for BKFC.
Yes.
We've done many watch-alongs. Now, I'm sure you've watched them as well. You know how brutal they are, open hands, straight
Yeah.
to bit, knuckle. You see the damage, obviously, to Paulie Malignaggi. Don't come to England, right? And not be prepared to wait in a 4-hour bloody 6-hour hospital waiting.
I'm trying to avoid the Paulie Malignaggi
Go
route.
private, my man. Go private if you come over here. But what
I love Paulie, but I'm trying to avoid that route that he went in terms of making it that brutal on your body and stuff. But
yeah, wrong thing he did.
He's a tough guy.
I mean, he could have jabbed his way through that. Now, tell me about this. How do you perceive what you need to transition from boxing to bare knuckle to see your way through?
You gotta study. You gotta study and understand the craft and the differences and the similarities between that and boxing as a whole. Again, the clinching is different. They allow you to hit in it, the clinching, which they I guess they call it as a reference in terms of dirty boxing. So you gotta, and the pace is faster because it's 2-minute rounds, but it's only 5 rounds. 10 minutes is 10 minutes of fighting rather than 12 rounds, 3 minutes, and so forth. But you gotta just be smart. You gotta be smart. You don't have again, you don't have gloves to really block, so you really have to be a little bit more agile on your upper body, a little bit more slick at times, just to get out of harm's way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's frenetic, fast paced. They rush at you. The arms are swinging. You know, s- the impulses are there to use your slip and move and counter and
Yeah,
come a little bit. You know, sometimes the accuracy goes because of the gloves. There's no
yeah,
gloves,
yeah,
and where you guys train to an inch with gloves, to get the true connection
yes,
without compromising your own space.
exactly.
Um, you know, have you the training? How different is it from?
No different. No different. No
No,
different. If anything, I train out here. Right now I'm in California, Riverside, California, with Henry Ramirez. Henry's a very respectable trainer out in the States. We still I still train as a boxer. If anything, in terms of sparring, you may get bringing MMA guys just to get a little rough on the clinches. But again, the main objective to me is to stick and move, to be agile, to be smart, and not and take as less punishment as you possibly can by just being smart with your lateral movement and angles and things of that nature. So for me, it's still boxing. Like today, I just finished coming from training in the gym, boxing workouts, strength and conditioning, and just to get the body in shape, and we're just gonna go from there.
absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to see it. January the 17th, and where is it again?
It'll be at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut here in the States.
Connecticut in the United States on the zone.
Yes.
Um, and that's going to be a fascinating journey to witness as well. We wish you the best of luck. Now,
Right.
it's time to pick your brains, those
Yes.
fantastic boxing brains
Yes.
of yours. Right, let's talk about
And I
the
appreciate
state.
everybody. I appreciate everybody out there on the other side of the planet, the other side of the world tuning in. I love you guys, and I always say I gotta come back. I gotta come back to the UK. That's always been my thing, so I have to come back to the UK. Carl Frampton instead says he owes me a pint, so I gotta go. I gotta go to
Come
Ireland as
on,
well. So I'm
try
coming
get,
back.
try get, try get the pint out of an Irishman in a Scotsman's pub is another matter. However, you know, we talk about these champions that are around today, like Shakur Stevenson. Let's talk about the lightweight division, your division, at the state of it
Yes.
right now. How disappointing is the Tank Davis, exclusion at this time
Right.
from the lightweight division? Because I'll tell the reason I ask you that is because I'm such a fan of his work, and it's disappointing that obviously we've all had our personal problems, but it's
Yes. Yes.
disappointing that um, and I think some of it is down to his own mentality and the fact. Would you agree that Tank is not a legacy man?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't believe he's a legacy man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone comes to
Yeah,
boxing with their own agenda, but I can agree with you right there. I can agree that he's not a legacy man. He's in it. He's in it to make the most, obviously, and I respect that. But
yeah,
I'm still a fan, and I'm like yourself, and I still would love to see before he does decide to call it a day to get in there with somebody that we want to see him with, and but he's his own man. He makes his own decisions, and I wish him all the best. But I agree with you. He's definitely not a legacy man. He's in it just to cash in and make his money and take care of his family. And there's nothing wrong with that.
absolutely, absolutely. Boxing's a short, brutal career. Uh, Compared to the rest of your life. And if the opportunity to make as much, income as you can to secure, yourself and your family's future, then you got to do it. And I will not sit here in judgment of any man. And there's many an income to be made from boxing maybe as a journeyman, maybe as an away round fighter, uh, as a gatekeeper. Oh, I don't like using that word, but we know who we identify them. There's all sorts of income paths in the world of
Yeah.
boxing, and Tank
Yeah.
Davis takes his path. But if Tank Davis was to come back tomorrow and say, "I want to fight," what's the ideal fight at lightweight with the best
Um,
contender?
a lightweight, let's say if Shakur beats Teofimo next month, and he comes back down, that's obviously one of the fights that people want to see. I wouldn't even mind seeing him against Kid Austin. Kid Austin.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind even seeing that matchup. Give it a little bit more time. Allow Abdullah Mason, who had a great fight, with
Sam Noakes.
Yeah, he had Sam is a hell of a fighter. Sam, I hope you're healing up well. I hope you come back strong. You definitely showed a lot of heart and craft in your fight. But again, lightweight division has so many great talents. But I get it. The people are so upset because none of these guys, they feel like, are fighting each other. So again, I would like to see that division start to heat up. It's like you see at junior welterweight, or even the super welterweight division at 154 pounds, that the guys up there in the stacked divisions. But again, I believe boxing is still in a strong place, but I would love to see a lot of the top athletes fight against each other. And I believe that Canelo and Terrence Crawford, who just retired, definitely lit a fire under the younger generation to basically want to get in there and test themselves, because again, we have another great matchup with Shakur Stevenson, and who's a good friend of mine, as well as Teofimo Lopez, who's another good friend of mine that's competing just to be the best.
Absolutely. The kids who take up boxing go by who they see right now. The stars, the Shakurs, the Tanks, the Canelos, the Crawfords, the Anthony Joshes, the list goes on, the Inuis, lightweight division has sort of had an exodus of lately, with the Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez's, Gary Anton Russell, he's going up as well. So the division is a bit stark at the minute. I feel it needs a Tank comeback. I do feel it needs a fight like a Tank Schofield. You quite rightly said, I think it's a bit too soon for Abdullah Mason. However, I get the feeling that if Shakur is successful at 140 pounds against Teofimo Lopez, and he looks good and he does a good job, I get the feeling he won't come back down, Jamil.
I think he will. I don't know. I don't think, if anything, don't be surprised though if he goes up a weight class though for the Ben fight. And that mainly I guess depends on the purse. If we're being honest, it depends on the money, because a lot of these kids today, they go on for the biggest payday, which is not a problem. But I think that fight is solely based on payday, because it's not really much of a legacy fight. And there's nothing against Ben, but Shakur is still technically a natural lightweight. You know what I mean? But again, if Conor Ben decides to go a different route and faces off against the winner between Barrios and Ryan Garcia, then that's another good matchup as well, between that trio.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Conor Ben, a much vilified and hated boxer on these shows. Not by all. Obviously for his past misdemeanors, allegedly. Yeah. How do the American market view Conor? Do they like him?
I believe we're all on the same agreement, if I'm being honest. From the States to overseas, Conor Ben is not the most liked individual. But when he gets in the ring, he does bring entertainment, even outside the ring. Whether it's controversial or not, he does have people glued in and tuned in. But yeah, I can agree with you. He's probably not the most liked individual over here in the States as well.
Yeah. There's a few comments coming in that are not very not flattering for Conor. However, it is what it is. He's come back. He's had numerous of fights, 2 fights against a middleweight. How much of a threat do you think he is to the welterweight division?
It all depends, because I'm pretty sure we can all agree that we still feel like he hasn't been really tested as a welterweight, but yet he's getting a huge opportunity, being the #1 contender by the WBC. So we really won't know until he's tested. But I believe, even if he somehow was able to get the WBC title around his waist, I still think it's a great look for the United Kingdom, in my opinion, in terms of bringing another champion back overseas. So I can respect it, especially if he goes out there and actually beats a legitimate champion. But that's where the legacy really starts from there. That's when you're a champion, but now let's see how you carry yourself as a world champion. Who are you fighting? What big fights are you making? Are you unifying the division? Are you going up the division to face off against other champions at 154 pounds and so forth? So I think that's when everything really starts to kick in. Once you not just winning the world title, but how you represent the world championship and the competition that you add to your resume.
Do you feel that if Conor Benn does become a world champion, does he start his own legacy and his own name, and not, as somebody has put in the chat, that lives off daddy's name?
It all depends, because if we can go look back, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was a world champion as well, but he still gets he still gets compared to his father, and because his championship run doesn't nowhere near compare to his father's legacy. So if anything, he still has an uphill battle. He's gonna have an uphill battle either way. But if he doesn't win a world title, most will definitely feel like it was a complete fail and a complete loss in terms of legacy.
Yeah, I get it. How much of it is a stigma do you think that being the son of a legend actually is to the juniors of this world?
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, we just seen Shane Mosley Jr. Take a loss to Jesus Ramos a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a good friend of Shane Sr. and Shane Jr., but it's hard to fill in those footsteps, and especially if you don't even get to the title at all, or even show a glimpse of what your father is. It's a hard road for these kids.
Yeah, and you got to have a certain amount of sympathy, because I thought Shane fought really well against Jesus Ramos Jr. I thought he was really good, and he looked nothing like his father in reality as a boxer. But however,
he showed heart.
He showed heart, and I do sympathize. And the same with Chris Eubank Jr. Same with Conor Benn to an extent. They are the sons of legends, and mentally, it must take a toll on them at certain points of their careers. Now, going on to another alleged drug cheat, who was not allegedly, he was actually proven to be, Mr. Ryan Garcia.
Right.
The American market is obviously very, very split on popularity for this young man. Now, off the back of this disgrace against Devin Haney, shall we say, to be polite, and subsequently losing to Teofimo Lopez, not Teofimo, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Oh, no, Rolando Romero.
Yes,
sorry, Rolly Romero. People were aggrieved that he got an interim shot, and now to be doubly aggrieved that he got a full title shot with the WBC against Barrios. How does that reconcile with you?
I think there are more deserving people of it, especially you got a lot of guys that made the same sacrifices or even done a lot more than Ryan. But like you mentioned, I feel like boxing at times is a popularity contest. Whoever can get the most views, whoever can put the most butts in seats, that's who are getting the opportunities. I mean, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you still have to show up and prove. So you have to prove that why you're in this position, and you have to go out there and get it. And right now, I don't know how serious Ryan is. If we all have social media, we all see what he's doing. It seems like right now he's more in tune trying to be an influencer than a boxer at times. And don't get me wrong. I believe Ryan can fight. Ryan has the skill set. Ryan has the tools. But I don't know if Ryan's mentality is within boxing. I don't know if he has the love for the sport. I think he loves what the sport brings to him, you know, in terms of the exposure and things of that nature. But I don't know if he is thinking about legacy. You know, thinking about legacy more. It's more every time, you know, him and his promoter Oscar De La Hoya get into it. It always comes down to money. It's always about the money and this and that. So I don't know if Ryan really cares to even be a world champion. I think it's something that he may can brag about if he say he does beat Barrios. But other than that, I don't know where he goes from there after that.
Yeah. Now, it's just as distasteful the prospect is of him becoming the WBC world champion. Many people will probably want to see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia for that unification off the back of, obviously, Ryan did what he did. Firstly, give me, you know, your views on the irony of that situation, and then obviously how that fight would go in your mind.
I don't know. I think it'll be up to Team Haney to have more of a lens on Ryan Garcia in terms of going into training camp for starters. Even before training camps, you got it, because let's be honest, no, everybody out there is watching now. We all kind of got familiar with how, you know, drug cheats are. And I'm not saying just him or whatever, but like in general, where guys are on whatever they're on and they're cycling it out. So we definitely need to start micromanaging a lot, not just him, but a lot of fighters in general, if not all fighters on the top level, even before these guys have fight scheduled, because a lot of these guys, you know, they're on something, then they cycle it out, and then they make a fight. And we just seen a big issue with Matias.
Subriel,
Matias. Like, okay, he had a little bit of this in the system, but okay, is that not still part of the, you know, the problem? And yeah, shout out to Haney versus Crocker. I've seen that as well happening, and I commend Devin Haney for at least still trying to push himself, still trying to you know, push for his legacy. He wants to unify the division. And of course, if Ryan Garcia wins that fight, we all know that that's obviously going to be a big fight, and it's going to be a big money fight, if we're all being honest. But again, it comes down to the powers that be to really start micromanaging these fighters in terms of things that they do in and outside of the ring.
Yeah, fantastic points and well said. Now, you know, as we all know, in April 2023, that Ryan Garcia tested positive for rostering with the New York State Athletic Commission. And we've seen another positive test for Subriel Matias for 0.1 nanogram of ostarine. Now, does it help boxing, Jamel, when you've got state commissions in the United States who have tolerance levels within their drug ban lists?
Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong.
If it's in the system, it's in the system, sir.
Exactly. And for
there's no two ways.
And for all we know, they could be cycling it out, and they just got caught at the very end of whatever's in their system and in their bloodstream. And I hope Dalton and his team, you know, I wouldn't be mad if they felt some way. I'm pretty sure they did feel some way about that, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be upset with them for being upset about, you know, the decision that's been made with the WBC. But it just tell you, like, okay, what's allowed and what's not allowed anymore. We all thought that if anything was in your system, that was the end of the fight. Remember, Austria, same thing that they found in Ryan Garcia's bloodstream. They claimed it was only a little bit, but yet Ryan still got punished and suspended, rightfully so, for a year.
Yeah.
So how much is a little bit now? If they claiming that Matias only had a little bit in his system, but he's still yet to keep his title and still go up and face
continue fighting. Continue fighting because of a technicality within 3 state commissions, drug rules.
It's
This
not
does not help boxing, Jamel.
no.
This only encourages cheats to think that they can take off Austrian. No, I quite agree with you. One nanogram and 60 nanograms, 60 times more is not something you're going to suggest to tell me that is done either through contamination or it's done.
Everything's always contaminated when it comes to these fighters when they get caught. And
yes.
Let's be honest. Why is it that every time a fighter gets caught, they know exactly what was contaminated? They know exactly what was contaminated all of a sudden. Now,
yes, sir.
Oh, it was the oatmeal that I ate that was. How do you know exactly now that it was this that was and that was contaminated? I don't understand how it seems like every fighter that gets caught, they know exactly the day and time, whatever they ate. I can't remember what I ate 3 days ago. Let alone I can tell you off the bat what was contaminated and what I took. Like
yeah, I can name you the actual grain in that supplement that was tainted. So some will say, right, but obviously that's the state of boxing. VADA are catching people left, right, and centre. More and more are getting caught. It's only a good thing that more and more are getting caught. People shouldn't be frustrated at the numbers because more and more will get caught because boxing is rife, Jamel.
Right.
In this day and age, because the risks and the rewards, as poles apart as they are, come together at the head of the pyramid. Some will take that risk to get the reward, and until they get caught. It's the boxing system of only testing world championship fights in some states and in some sanctioning bodies, even in Europe. It just takes the credibility away from certain boxers, and Cyprian Mateus, in my eyes, is as guilty as anybody. But let's move on to some predictions now. Terence Crawford recently announced his retirement. Firstly, Jamel, what was your first reaction to that?
I wasn't surprised. Terrence is a good friend of mine. Terrence is actually one of the guys that helped me become a world champion. I trained alongside with him. Brian Bull, Matt McIntyre, Red Spikes, Esau Dieguez. So I know that camp fairly well, really well to this day. But I wasn't surprised, and I think it came down to, like we mentioned just a minute ago, cheating. Because not him, but the Janibek situation. Janibek.
Yeah.
Remember this. He was aiming and talking about going down to 160 and fighting him for the undisputed middleweight crown as well. And then boom, he gets busted. So that plan goes out the window. The Canelo rematch, it wasn't happening this May. Canelo wanted to wait till September. And let's be honest, Father Time waits for nobody. And I don't think that Bud wanted to sit around and wait that long for a rematch. So he kind of the fire kind of left his belly, and he said, "Okay, you know what? I've done enough. I've accomplished many goals. 5-division world champion, 3-time undisputed world champion in the 4-belt era. So I mean, I wish him well. But if I'm being honest, also maybe it's gonna take a huge payday, to bring him back, like we've seen with so many others. But in terms of his legacy, I think his legacy is cemented. He'll and we all know he'll definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think there's only one boxer who could tempt him out of that situation. G Paul 2027, right? Jamil, quick fire questions. Your hardest ever camp?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Sorry, your hardest ever camp that you trained for? What fight?
Is it hard to stay in camp?
The hardest, your hardest camp in your career.
Oh, Shakur Stevenson, hands down, hands down. The Shakur Stevenson fight was probably the hardest camp, because I knew how good he was, and I think I overdid it. Because instead of 8 weeks, I actually did like a 10-week camp, and I was just going at a crazy pace because I was thinking like, this guy is so good. I have to be at my best, but I was beating my body up. But commending on Shakur, He did what he had to do. I respect him. I got a lot of love for the kid, but I would say that's probably the most hardest, grueling training camp because I just knew how good he was, and mentally I was like, I have to be ready. I have to be ready, but I probably overdid it just a tad too much. But again, score that dude, and there's no excuse. I believe that even if I did probably a regular training camp, just have the skill level and skill set of Shakur, he probably still took my title that night anyway. So it's not like we're making an excuse for the extra 2 weeks. But overall, that was definitely one of the hardest training camps, and maybe second the Masahiko Ito training camp because of my first world title opportunity. So like I mentioned earlier in the show, the window of opportunity is so small that you have to, you don't want to leave any stones unturned. So that was definitely another hard training camp for me, but it paid off, and I became a world champion, and I moved from there, and we all seen what happened from there.
You certainly did. It takes me on to your next one. Your favorite arena.
My favorite arena. That's a good one. I think in terms of the states, maybe Madison Square Garden, because that's when I grew up in New York, obviously, of course. So I always love to see fellow New Yorkers come out, but I was actually looking forward to going to Belfast. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted when I had to fight with Carl Frampton planned before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. I wanted to go to Belfast. I actually then it supposedly had got moved to the UK, so I was fine with that as well because I always promised my friends and fans in the UK that I would return. So I wanted to go to the UK because I just have a huge, tremendous respect for boxing in the UK because, I mean, let's be honest, if you do your homework, that's where the sport really originated at. So I always give a huge amount of respect to everyone out there in the UK, and I always say they have the best fans, which they do. Because I mean, again, let's be honest, the Ben and Eubank fight, it wasn't a world title fight, it wasn't a world, but again, the fans still came out in thousands to support their men. So that's what I love about the United Kingdom, and I really hope maybe even in the BKFC if I get out, if I want to return to the fight out there because I had a blast during the Olympics. I had a blast.
London.
Yeah, even a few months ago, I even got a call to face up against Harlem Eubank in the UK, and I wanted to jump on an opportunity just to get back to the UK, but things had fell apart. That had fell apart, so wow. I missed my shot of returning to the UK. But that is one of my still one of my goals to definitely return to the United Kingdom to just basically to face off in a professional outing.
You'd be very much welcomed over here, my man. I'm telling you right now, the British public love champions, especially champions who are humble as well. Now, talking to the UK tonight, we've got Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. You've probably had much to say and much discussion over the last couple of weeks with your fellow compatriots on your side of the water. Tell me about what they think of Jake's strategy, not only in the ring but out the ring. And
Jake has a set of balls on him. I give him that. But I am 100% an Anthony Joshua guy. I don't listen. Anthony Joshua I don't care what people think of him now in his career. I do not care. Anthony Joshua is a gold medalist. He is a multi-world champion. He has faced the best. He has packed out arenas. And let's be honest, when the last time we had a so-called exhibition matchup with Ngannou, we seen how fast that ended. And Ngannou was a real fighter. I'm not saying Jake Paul's not a real fighter. Don't get me wrong, Jake. I respect you, my man. But these are guys that have experience under their belt. So yeah, I respect you, Jake, because it takes a real man to get in that ring. Any night of any day of the week, it takes a real man to get in there. And I commend Jake Paul for taking that fight. But if I was a betting man, I'll put the house on Anthony Joshua. I don't care if people think it's scripted, and this is why I don't believe it's scripted, because again, Anthony Joshua is in the driver's seat to potentially fight another respected fellow countryman, which is Tyson Fury. So why would you want to go in there and risk looking, making, just risking your legacy
Yeah.
and, risking your legacy as a whole by allowing a guy that most feel has no business being in there with you as it is, and potentially, you know, making a mega fight with Tyson Fury. And I don't care what Tyson Fury's at in his career. I love Tyson Fury as well, and I respect, and I know the UK will definitely come out stronger for that matchup either way.
Yeah.
But why would you dilute the promotion or going into the fight next if you don't have a great if you don't look great tonight with a guy like Jake Paul? You got to get him out the way, and you got to make it look spectacular and fashion. You can't make it seem as if Jake actually had a chance and then the fight was close. No, get him out of there. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is, thank you, Wembley. Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
Americans
Wembley.
Americans would love the fight in Wembley and do numbers like
Yeah.
So again, why would you want to play around with your food?
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a sec. I just wanted to have an off-shot question to you about that. You see the likes of Wembley Stadium, 100,000 fans, 80 or 90,000 fans packed into it. How frustrating is that to the average American fan who know that if boxing events were to be held in football stadiums over there, they'd sell out? Why does this phenomenon not happen?
Because we have so many other different sports, if we're being honest. We got so many other different sports that the average American tunes in other than boxing. We have our version of football, baseball, basketball. So there's a lot of different options for Americans to really tune in. But that's why the average American that loves boxing, that's why we respect the United Kingdom, because when they have an event, it is truly an event. So that's what we love and respect. And it's not so much of the envy, it's not so much of an envious thing, but we just admire it. We just admire it. We're like, you know what? That looks like it could be so much fun. I mean, that's why I commend even my good friend Errol Spence when he went over there for Kell Brook, and that's why when I was signed up to fight Carl Frampton, I didn't care if it was in Ireland or the UK. I had when they made the fight, I didn't care where it was at. Even though I was the champion, I did not care if it was in the UK or Ireland, because I wanted that same experience that my friend Errol Spence had when he fought Kell Brook.
Absolutely fantastic. And I can tell you something, if you did, win, lose or draw,
listen, I try to fight. I try to fight Josh Warrington as well. I try to fight somebody that's respected over there just to get to the UK. That's how bad I wanted to get to the UK.
I wonder how ironic it would be if it's bare knuckle boxing that brings you next to our shores. It may well do, yeah.
It won't be the same because boxing as a whole is where it's at in the UK. And like again, I reached out to Eddie Hearn. I said, Eddie, give me this guy. I don't care. I'll go over there. And I just couldn't get him. I just couldn't get none of these guys.
I mean, you never know. You may well have a couple of fights at BKB. Somebody be reeling their phone saying, Jamel, fancy coming back to boxing at 40 years of age? Why not?
I'll do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
If my body's up for it, I will definitely do it. I don't think Carl Frampton wants to fight again, and I can respect that.
Yeah. He retired at 34. He's well done now. He's got it cushy at the zone there. Now, just as I said, that was an off-shot question. Going back to Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, I agree with you. It's not going to be scripted. For one, AG wouldn't do it. He's not the kind of man that would be happy or comfortable with stipulations. And B, he's got another fight coming up with Tony Yoka, another tune-up in February. That's the precursor for the Tyson Fury fight in September. Right. So I agree with you. Get in there, tidy night's work. Goes home a bit richer. Everyone's happy, and I will come back to Jake Paul and just come off the back of what you said, and I'll reiterate: fantastic job, just to get Anthony Joshua in that ring. That's his victory. Win, lose or draw, he is open. he's opened that door for others to follow with Anthony Joshua. You get the British hardcore who worry for Jake Paul's life. I personally think,
I think Americans
he'll have it.
Americans are worrying for Jake Paul's life.
His life is in danger, they say over here. The consequences could be dire. I mean, that's always the possibility. Jamel, is there any real concern over, even if Anthony Joshua doesn't mean it, and he hurts this man?
You can't play boxing. You
No.
don't play boxing. Boxing is not something that you play. One shot, one punch can turn your whole entire life around. God forbid that happens. But again, Anthony Joshua, his jab alone is a danger. He's a dangerous man. He's a dangerous man. And I don't see, after watching every press conference, I didn't see any signs that Anthony Joshua was coming to play around. He's not with the antics. He's not doing
doing this.
Yeah, he's not doing. The man said he will kill a man in there.
Yeah.
He's not playing around.
He's not playing. And I can't agree with you. You don't play boxing. I think Jake Paul's been playing boxing for 5 years.
Yeah,
and he's going to find out tonight that you don't.
You got to understand also, one thing that Jake Paul said that really stood out to me was that after this fight, he may retire. That should tell you right there that this fight is not scripted, and he knows the danger of this fight and the lasting effects this fight could possibly have on him. So when Jake Paul said that this could be his last time in the ring as a fighter, and he'll continue doing what he does as a promoter, and he's doing a hell of a job a great job, especially women's boxing, doing real great with it, and I hope he continues to do that. But that was a telling sign for me that this is not scripted, and that he knows, that this could be the last time. Because you got to think about it. If he goes out there and gets knocked out, the aura that he's magically had over, people is gone. It's gone. Because everyone's when he finally steps up and then he gets, knocked out in a spectacular fashion way, the aura is gone.
It certainly has, mate. Fascinating prospect tonight on Netflix. I unfortunately will not be watching a fight. I've got a fight event to get to. I've got a train in the morning, so I can't afford to miss that. So I will be catching up with that later. Listen, Jamel, thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time here on Red.
I say this for the UK fans. Please tune in to my good friend as well, Caroline Dubois. I've been a fan of hers for the past number of years, so I do pay attention to everything that goes on. And I'm looking forward to Caroline doing her thing as well. And I think it's going to be a good night of boxing.
Absolutely. She's on after this on Red Corner Boxing Watch-alongs, guys, if you want to join us for that. Make sure you guys follow Jamel on the 10-8 podcast on YouTube. Give them a like and subscribe and a notification bell. It's free. It's painless. Do it. Do it now. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Love you too,
Jamel.
Love you guys too out there, man. You guys made me who I am today, and I can say even now I get emotional because I really love and respect the fans that showed me love throughout the years, and I will continue being you guys as friends, and anytime you guys need me, I am here for the call.
Brilliant. We'd love to hear that. Thank you so much. And vice versa, mate. We'd love to chat again with you.
Yes.
Especially about current events. You are, of course, a content creator now. So, at some point we'll cross paths again. But Jamel, for now, thank you for your time here on Red Corner Box. Absolute pleasure and a privilege to pick your brains, not only about your life, but about your current situation and what your plans are. We've been talking to ex-sergeant of the Marine Corps, Mr Jamel Herring. Pay that man respect as the ex-WBO lightweight champion of the world. And it's guys like you that gives us fans nights of history and memories. This show is sponsored by EasyStories.com for all your local and nationwide needs. And of course, Boxing Fight Zone for your boxing merchandise and apparel. I'm Mr. Neutral. That's been Jamel Herring. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop. I'm on and moving. I'm going